Hello everyone. And today, let's talk about Shehzade Jihangir. Why did he die? How did he feel about Shehzada Mustafa? The shocking revelations of historians about his death. How was Shehzade actually treated? So, in order to understand these issues, let's start from the beginning. Who is Shehzade Jihangir? Shehzade was born in Istanbul in 1531. He was the sixth child and fifth son of Suleiman and Hurrem. Traditionally, Jihangir was brought up in the palace. Shehzade had a congenital defect, a hump. Given this, Jihangir did not claim the Ottoman throne. However, Jihangir was an educated man, was fond of calligraphy, wrote poetry under the name Zarifi, and had long conversations with his father. Despite his physical disability, by the time he was sent to Sanjak, Jihangir had a concubine. It is believed that he was warmly attached to his half-brother Mustafa, son of Suleiman and Mahidevran. However, it is worth noting that Mustafa left the capital when Jihangir was only 2 years old. Suleiman and Hurrem, despite their son's flaws, loved him very much. They didn't want to part with him and were always there for him. Suleiman often took his son camping. Hurrem wrote in her letters that she was very worried about Jihangir and it was better for him to be in the palace so as not to aggravate his illness. Shehzade has been haunted by pain since childhood. Since his spine was deformed, something had to be done. It was Ibrahim Pasha who found a doctor who was able to alleviate the suffering of the child for a while. Pasha found a man named Paracelsus, but he was very disliked in the Ottoman Empire, and that's why Paracelsus was born into the family of a doctor. On his father's side he came from an ancient, but impoverished Swabian noble family. His mother, a Swiss-born woman, took care of the sick at the local abbey. He was a very puny-looking man with a big head and skinny crooked legs. In the family, Paracelsus received an excellent education in medicine and philosophy. By the age of 16, he knew the basics of surgery, therapy and was well versed in the basics of alchemy. At the age of 16, Paracelsus left home forever and went to study at the University of Basel. After that, he studied in Würzburg with Abbot Johann Trithemius, one of the greatest adepts of magic, alchemy and astrology. Paracelsus received his university education in Ferrara, where he was awarded the degree of Doctor of both medicines. We know that in the Islamic world, such things are prohibited. Therefore, Ibrahim managed to find a follower of Paracelsus, who owned his practices, but was not so well known in society. The student was shut down by Weigel. It was he who applied the spinal traction method. This method was painful for a child, but in those days they could not treat a disease like Jihangir's. When the operation was over, Shehzade's pain went away for a while. The child began to feel better, he developed quickly, and, it would seem, everything is over, but this is a temporary effect. Hurrem wrote to Suleiman when he was on a campaign about the operation, and that it was successful. How Shehzade Jihangir died. In fact, no scientist or historian knows the exact cause of Shehzade's death. There are many versions. These are the ones that historians highlight. 1. The version that we saw in the series is death due to longing for his dead brother Mustafa. We read that Jihangir could not maintain such warm relations with him since he was young after Mustafa's departure to Sanjak and the enmity of their mothers. But there are several facts in history that suggest otherwise. Shehzade's letters have been preserved, where 3 people participated in the correspondence. These are Suleiman, Jihangir, and Mustafa. Historians also claim that they could see each other in adulthood, at weddings, funerals or other events. There is also a correspondence where Jihangir writes to his father that if Mustafa ascends the throne, he will leave him alive because he loves him and he cannot claim the throne. Suleiman replied to him, Mustafa will not spare anyone. From this, it can be concluded that Mustafa and Jihangir could have had a good relationship. There is another version of Shehzade's death. After the holiday, Jihangir went to his palace and soon he was found dead in the garden. There is an assumption that he was poisoned or took more opium than necessary. It was with this remedy that he relieved his pain. There is also an incredible version of the death of Suleiman's son. The Venetian ambassador conveyed in his report that after Mustafa's death, there was a scandal between Suleiman and Jihangir. The young prince told his father that he was cruel to his son, to which the sultan scolded Shehzade. Perhaps, after emotional excitement, the Sultan himself killed Shehzade with a dagger. Historians have suggested that Sulayman could have stabbed Jihangir with a dagger, after which he regretted it very much. Jihangir outlived his brother Mustafa by 21 days.